Hello students, this is G. Kavita from MAM Government Model Junior College for Girls, Nampally, Hyderabad. Today we are going to learn the subject shorthand for Office Assistantship course, first year, paper 3, and the chapter number is 12, Alternative Forms. Okay, last chapter we have learned initial hooks. మనము లాస్ట్ చాప్టర్ లో ఇనిషియల్ హుక్స్ నేర్చుకున్నాం. ఇనిషియల్ హుక్స్ అంటే ఏంటి? ఆర్ హుక్ అండ్ ఎల్ హుక్ ఆర్ కాల్డ్ ఇనిషియల్ హుక్స్. ఓకే, నౌ టుడే we are going to learn, we have some alternatives for some strokes, some initial hooks. Two forms will be having. సో ఈ రోజు మనము ఆల్టర్నేటివ్ ఫార్మ్స్ అంటే కొన్ని రెండు రకాలుగా ఉంటాయి. అవి ఏంటో మనం ఈ రోజు చూస్తాం. నౌ we have initial hooks for both straight strokes and curved strokes. What are initial hooks? R hook and L hook, they join to the consonants and they form double consonants. Okay. R hook and L hook are called initial hooks. How do we add to straight strokes and to curved strokes? R hook and L hook అనేది మనకి initial hooks. R ఒక consonant, L ఒక consonant. ఈ రెండు కాన్సనెంట్స్ చిన్న హుక్స్ లాగా ఏర్పడి వేరే స్ట్రోక్స్ తో జాయిన్ అయిపోయి అవి డబుల్ కాన్సనెంట్స్ గా ఫామ్ అవుతాయి. ఓకే, హౌ డు వి రైట్ దిస్? ఇనిషియల్ హుక్స్ టు ఆర్ to strokes, straight strokes and curved strokes. We all know R hook means R is right motion. R gives the sound of R. R is right motion and R hook. And L is left motion and L hook. How do we write to straight strokes? To all straight strokes, initial hooks, R is written with right motion, right? See, this is per, this is bar, this is stir, this is der, this is chir, this is jir, this is kar, and this is gar. Look here, all these are straight strokes hooked for R. Right motion gives the sound of R hook to all straight strokes. So per, bar, ter, der, chir, jir, kar and gar. These are all R hook to all straight strokes. Now how do we write R hook to curved strokes? Far, var, tar, dar, shir, jir, mar, nar, inger. Okay, now these are curved strokes. Far, var, tar, dar, shir, jir, mar, nar and inger. So R hook is attached with a small initial hook to curved strokes. Okay. What are the strokes left over? ఇంకా ఏమి స్ట్రోక్స్ మనకి మిగిలిపోయి ఉన్నాయి? స్ట్రోక్ ఎల్, స్ట్రోక్ ఆర్ అండ్ స్ట్రైట్ అప్ స్ట్రోక్స్. ఓకే, వాట్ ఆర్ స్ట్రైట్ అప్ స్ట్రోక్స్? రే, రే, వే, ఏ, upward form which and downward form which, and the stroke L and R. Okay, and stroke S. S and Z are left over. మనకి S and Z ఇంకా మిగిలిపోయి ఉన్నాయి. ఓకే, చూడండి, కర్వ్ స్ట్రోక్స్ ఫర్, వర్, తర్, దర్, షర్, జర్, మర్, నర్, ఇంగర్ అండ్ స్ట్రైట్ అప్ స్ట్రోక్స్. ఇదేంటి? రే కదా. దిస్ ఇస్ వే and this is A. This is upward hay and this is downward hay and this is L and R. S and Z. S and Z of course are same strokes. Okay, so for all these strokes we have R hooks. Okay, but except to the stroke ray, this is already called as R. R ki manam malli R hook pedtama pedtamu. So two sounds of R we can't read at the same time. R ki malli R hook pedtamu kabatti there is no R hook to stroke ray, and way kuda manamu hook pettalemu. Why? Because already it is engaged with a small hook for way, so we don't place R hook for to this way also. Okay, way ki manaki already ikkada chinna hook undi, so R hook pettadaniki manaki place ledhu kabatti way ki kuda మనకి ఆ రూప్ ఉండదు. and there is no R hook to even stroke A also. Okay? There is no R hook to A, and even there is no R hook to upward H. Why? Because it is circled here. Where do we place R hook? So we can't place. So there is no R hook to stroke H, upward H. Okay? And downward H also we can't place R hook. Okay? And stroke L and R cannot be sounded at once. Okay, sorry, L, R మనం sound చేయలేం కాబట్టి there is no R hook to stroke L. And even R కి కూడా మనం R hook place చేయలేము. So there is no R hook to downward R also. And even S and Z, there is no R hook. Okay, so there are no R hooks to straight up strokes and stroke L and R and even S and Z. We don't have R hooks. Okay, only for these strokes we write R hook. What are they? Per, bar, ter, der, ter, cher, jer, kar, gar, far, var, ter, der. And to curve strokes, sher, jer, mar, nar and inger. There are no R hooks to these strokes. Okay. And how do we write L hook to straight strokes? With left motion. R is right motion and L hook is with left motion. Now how do we write? Now L hook to straight strokes. This is pal, bal, tal, dal, chal, jal, kal and gal. Okay. These are L hook to all straight strokes. How do we write L hook to curved strokes? Fal, val, tal, mal, null. Shall is always written upwards. Shall is always written upwards. And shall is always written. Shall మనము ఎప్పుడు downwards రాయాలి. And shall is always written upwards. Okay. So these are L hook to all straight strokes and curved strokes. Fal, val, tal, mal, null and shall. We don't have L hook to stroke ing. Okay. Ingle అని మనం రాయము. Okay. And to straight up strokes kuda, suppose re and way, ye, he and downward H and R and L and even S and Z. We don't have L for all these strokes. We don't have L to all these strokes. Okay. So these are L hook to straight strokes and curved strokes. We don't have either R hook or L hook to all these strokes. Okay. Now we are going to learn alternative forms. Alternative forms means some of them they are turned with left motion, and for some strokes we also have these hooks with right motion. Okay. Stroke R ki enduku? For the stroke R we don't have R hook. Why? Because if you place this R hook, now in this chapter it will become fur. Alternative forms and చెప్పుకున్నాం కదా. Downward R, if we write and we place a small hook, right? How do we write fur? Only with the left motion. For F, we add a small hook. Only till here we know. F మాత్రం మనకు తెలుసు. F కి small hook పెడితే ఏమవుతుంది? Fur. అది మనకు తెలుసు. This will become fur. Okay? And this will become ver. V and R. Now these are written with left motion. Now today we are going to learn another form of fur and ver. How do we write? So that's the reason for downward R we don't place R hook. Okay. Now this is fur. This is left form and even we have right forms. This is one form of fur. Okay. Same, a small hook, but it is written towards right side. Another angle of this. This is called left fur. This is called right fur. This is the reason. Suppose see, it looks like R. Again, if you place R hook, it becomes R and R. So we can't sound it at a time. Okay. So this is one form of fur called right form of fur. This is alternative. Left form of fur and right form of fur. Till now we know only left form of fur. Now today we are going to learn another form of fur. Why two forms of fur? Because sometimes to some strokes this left form joins very easily with other strokes. Okay, sometimes right form of fur joins very easily with other strokes. Okay, that's the reason we have two forms of fur. For not all this. ఈ స్ట్రోక్స్ అన్నిటికీ మనకి 2 forms లేవు. కొన్ని స్ట్రోక్స్ మాత్రమే ఉన్నాయి. ఏంటది? లెఫ్ట్ ఫర్, రైట్ ఫర్. ఓకే, అండ్ లెఫ్ట్ వర్, అండ్ we also have right were. Left for, right for, left were and right were. Okay, for, were, and thir for stroke it also we don't have. See, chusama, for, were, thir. That's all. Right thir we don't have. Okay, that's the reason for stroke s. For stroke s we don't write r hook. For stroke s and z we don't write r hook. Why? Because this is the reason. Why? Because this is it. And we know we have left form of thir. Okay, this thir is written with left form. Now we have right form of thir. How do we write? Same, just opposite it. This is right form of thir. That's the reason for stroke s and z we don't have r hook. Okay, stroke s elo rastamanamo. This is stroke s. Okay, this is stroke s. If you place r hook to it, it will become sir. So we don't write. So we don't place r hook to stroke s and z. Why? Because this is the reason. This forms the right form of thir. Okay, అందుకనే మనం stroke s కి z కి మనం r hook పెట్టము. Okay, so this will become left form of thir as we know, and this is the right form of thir. Just opposite it is called right form of thir. So we have 3 forms now. Left form of thir, right fir. Left were, right were. Left thir and right thir. And even we have thir. How do we write thir? Thir and thir. Left form of thir we know. One side of thir we know. How do we write? This is left form of thir. And even we have right form. Just opposite it. This is right form of thir. Okay, so for, were, thir and thir. All this we have. Only for these strokes we have 2 forms. For, were, thir and thir. Okay, when do we use these left forms and when do we use this right forms? All the left side are called left forms and all this right side are called right forms. Okay, so today we are going to learn this alternative for these. Alternative left form and right form. Ela rayali. Strokes ki ela join cheyali anedi మనం చూద్దాం. Okay, for, were, thir and thir. Okay, and even we have full and well to curve strokes. How do we write full? We already know. This is full and this is well. Okay, and we have only one form of thil. We have only one form of thil. For all these we have alternatives. For, were, thir and thir manaki 2 forms ఉన్నాయి. Left forms and right forms. And even full and well kuda manaki 2 forms ఉన్నాయి. We have 2 forms for full and well also. Now these 2 are called with left form of full and full, and these are right forms. Full and this is right form of well. Okay, these 2 are left forms and these 2 are right form of full and well. Alternatives for these we are going to learn now. How do we use it? Okay, and we have only one form of thil. Is it clear? These are all straight strokes. These are all curve strokes hooked for R and hooked for L. 2 straight strokes and curve strokes. Right? How many forms we have? We have 2 forms of alternative forms of fur and were. What are they? Only these we have. Left form of fur, were, thir and thir. Right form of full, fur, were, thir and thir. Okay. There is no R hook or L hook to stroke L, to stroke R, to stroke S, Z and straight up strokes. Is it clear? We don't have either L hook or R hook. Now we have 2 forms of full. Already we know this left form of full and left form of well, and thil already we know. Right form of thil we don't have. Okay. Right form of full and well we know. Right. Now we are going to know how we are going to use them with other strokes. How they join easily with other strokes. We just see to it. All these left forms. What are left forms? These are called left forms. For, were, thar and dar. These are called left forms. When do we use them? Left forms అనేవి ఎప్పుడు యూజ్ చేస్తాము? When standing alone. When standing alone means no other strokes should follow. Okay? Only fur should stand alone and preceded by a vowel. We use left forms. All these left forms: fur, were, thar and dar. Fur, were, thar, left forms of fur, were, thar and dar we use only when standing alone and preceded by a vowel. Example: standing alone, offer. How do we write offer? Now sound the word offer. O is a vowel and fur. We are hearing only one sound of fur. No other strokes are following. Okay? Only fur. And fur is standing alone. Okay? And preceded by a vowel. O is a vowel which is coming before fur. So we use left forms. Standing alone and preceded by a vowel, we use left form. Ante standing alone ante various strokes emi undakudadu. Fur matrame undali. Appudu left form rastam. Fur mundu ganaka vowel unte we write left forms. Okay? So offer. Fur standing alone and is preceded by a vowel, we use left forms. So which place? O is first place. So offer. See, any other strokes are following? No. O and fur. Standing alone, preceded by a vowel, we use left forms. And ever. Ever. Sound the word ever. E is a vowel and were. Were standing alone and vowel is preceding. So we use left form. Ever. Either. Either. I is a diphthong. There is a stroke. Standing alone. There is standing alone and I is coming before. So standing alone and preceded by either vowel or diphthong, we use left forms. Either. Author. Author. How do we write? Author. Author standing alone and preceded by vowel, we use left forms. Okay. Now, right forms, when do we use? These are left forms. Okay. Standing alone, preceded by vowel, we use left forms. Same way, standing alone and followed by vowel, we use right forms. Now these are right forms of fur, were. Fur, were. These are called right forms. Okay. When do we use? Free. Sound the word free. How many strokes you hear? Only one stroke. Fur. Okay. And what happens to vowel? Vowel is coming after fur. So standing alone fur and followed by a vowel, we use right forms of fur. Free. Use right forms. Three. Standing alone thar and followed by a vowel, we use right forms. Okay. Throw. Third standing alone and followed by a vowel, we use right forms. Throw. Through. Okay. So standing alone and following, we use right forms. Standing alone and preceded by vowel, we use left forms of fur and were. Is it clear? Now we have two forms of full and will. These are called left forms. These are called right forms. Okay. Two forms of full and will we have. When do we use left forms and when do we use right forms? Right? Mostly, right forms are used after straight up strokes and horizontal strokes. Okay. Why? Because after straight up strokes, they go towards right hand side. So, right forms of full and will are very easily written. Example. Rifle. Rifle. How many strokes we hear? R and full. Now, which R do we write? Initial R followed by a vowel, we use upward R, isn't it? So, ray and full. Now, which form do we use? The left form of full or right form of full? See, when ray is going upwards towards right side, so right form will be more convenient. Ray and full. Try with left form and see. Ray and full. When we are writing left form of full, some small circle will be forming. So it is not convenient. So when ray is going up straight upstrokes, they go upward towards right side because right form of full and will is very easy to join. He will. Now he is an upward going stroke, right? He will. He and will. The same way. We will. Okay. Rifle, we will and he will. All these are straight up strokes. So after straight up strokes, right forms of full and will is very easy, convenient to join it. Right? And after horizontal strokes. What are horizontals? K, G, M and N are horizontals, right? Gavel. No. K is a horizontal. How do we write K? It goes towards right side, isn't it? Left to right. So, K we write this is going towards right side cavity. Right form of will is very easy to write. So, cavel. Ca and will. Okay. Navel. N is also a horizontal. Right? How do we write? Goes towards right side. Navel. Cavel. Navel. Okay. So, after horizontal strokes and straight up strokes, we use right forms of full and will. Remaining all other cases, we use left forms of full and will. Example, flow. Flow. Is any upstroke is following here? Or horizontal stroke is following? No. Only full standing alone, right? We use left form of full. Flow. Flicker. Any upstrokes or horizontals before? No. So we use left forms. Flicker, left full and cur. E third place, right full and cur. Hopeful. Upward H, right? Upward H, P and full. This is hope and full. Hopeful. Okay. So, remaining all other cases, we use left forms of full. Only after straight up strokes and horizontal strokes, we use right forms of full and will. Because straight up strokes and horizontal strokes, they go towards right side. So, right forms of full and will be more convenient and easy to write. All other cases, we use left forms of full and will. Okay. Yeah. Suppose if any vowel intervenes in between a stroke and a hook. Now, these are all hooks added to straight strokes or curve strokes. Hook and R. Strokes. Hooks and strokes. Either L hook or R hook. Okay. So, till now, we didn't find any vowels coming in between a hook and strokes. Okay. Suppose if a vowel intervenes or vowel comes in between a stroke and a hook, how and where do we place? Intervening vowel. Intervening means a vowel comes in between, almost a heavy vowel or light vowel. If it comes in between strokes and hooks, how do we write? Suppose a first place dot vowel. A first place dot vowel comes in between stroke and a hook. How do we write? Example, sharply. Sound the word sharply. As you could hear, shar, ish and r. R is the hook and ish is a stroke. So ish and r, in between we get a heavy dot vowel, sharply. Where do we place it? Do we place vowels to hooks? We can't place. Okay. So these kind of cases, we place a small circle in the first place because sharp, r vowel is coming in between ish and r. How do we write the outline? Sharply. What are the strokes we hear? Shar, P and L. Which place? Since first place vowel, sharply. Sharply. So, heavy dot vowel is coming in between ish and r. Can we place the vowel in between ish and r? We can't place. So, we write a small circle. Small circle. Did we place a small circle anywhere till now? No. Why? Because the small circle indicates that there is a vowel in between ish, stroke and hooks. Which place vowel is coming? First place. So in the first place, instead of placing a vowel, ఆ ప్లేస్ లో మనము స్మాల్ సర్కిల్ రాస్తాము. స్మాల్ సర్కిల్ ఏంటంటే ఇండికేషన్. దీనికి వబుల్ మధ్యలో ఉంది. దీని మధ్యలో స్ట్రోక్ ఇష్ అండ్ హుక్ ఆర్ మధ్యలో. ఓకే. బార్లీ. Barley. Now which place vowel is coming? Bar. B and R in between heavy dot vowel. Ella rayali. Barley. Bar and L. Bar and L. Barley. L tarvata vowel undi. Okay. Bar. B R majlo manaki vowel. A vowel undi. Heavy dot vowel. So we place a small circle. Place a small circle in between. In the first place. Okay. If a dot vowel comes in between ish and R. Suppose second place dot vowel, almost it will not come. We don't have any second place vowel coming in between strokes and hooks. Okay. Third place vowel will come. Example, engineer. How do we write? Engineer. Engineer. ఎక్కడ వస్తుంది మనకి? Near. ఎలా రాస్తాము? Engineer. Engineer. Here we are getting the sound of nearest ner. In between N and R, we are getting the sound of vowel, heavy vowel. Which place? Third place. So third place, we just place a small circle. Third, engineer. N R మధ్యలో మనకి third place vowel ఉంది కాబట్టి third place లో we place a small circle. Okay. Philosophy. Phil. ఎలా రాయాలి? ఫిలాసఫీ. స్ట్రోక్స్ ఏంటి? ఫల్, సర్క్యులస్ అండ్ ఫీ. ఫిలాసఫీ. Now fill, FL మధ్యలో we have a dot vowel. Where do you place it? We don't have place like this. Okay. If there is a vowel in between stroke and hook, we place a small circle here in the third place. Philosophy. Okay. Is it clear? Did you understand? We'll continue the class in the next episode or next class. Okay.